You know, T.S. Eliot, one of my favorite lines, I'm going to quote it off the top of my head, so maybe I won't get it exactly right. One of my favorite lines in all of poetry is in 4 quartets. T.S. Eliot, humankind cannot bear too much reality. And it was as if he was using his poetic genius to look into the future and see the Democrat Party today. Because when reality rises up, they are protecting a view of humankind, a view of truth, and a view of reality that is simply not supportable. And when you do that long enough, you go nuts. I want to show you what Trump has done to Nancy Pelosi, okay? Because Cocaine Mitch McConnell, Cocaine Mitch, got up and gave a speech about the fact, now what's happening in the House is they're threatening to hold Attorney General Barr in contempt. They're screaming and yelling, and Trump, of course, loves this stuff. He knows right where they live, and he has now said that the Mueller report, the underlying facts in the Mueller report, are protected by executive privilege because he knows he's driving them nuts. And Mitch McConnell got up and gave the speech that it's time to let this stupid thing go. Here it is.
What we've seen is a meltdown, an absolute meltdown, an inability to accept the bottom line conclusion on Russian interference from the special counsel's report, which said the investigation did not establish that members of the Trump campaign conspired or coordinated with the Russian government in its election interference activities. That's the conclusion. 2 years of exhaustive investigation and nothing to establish the fanciful conspiracy theory that Democratic politicians and TV talking heads had treated like a foregone conclusion. They told everyone there had been a conspiracy between Russia and the Trump campaign. Yet on this central question, the special counsel's finding is clear. Case closed. Case closed.
So Nancy Pelosi is up. I think she's at Cornell, and they ask her about this speech. And you gotta just, if you can see it, if you're watching, you can see it, but you can hear it in her voice anyway. Listen to her respond.
Today on the floor of the House, of the Senate, we're not in session, well, we'll be in session later today. On the floor of the Senate, Senator McConnell is reported to be saying, doesn't matter to hear from Mueller, case closed. Case closed. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. But it's that same mentality that is just not about doing the right, getting results for the American people. But it's who he is. And no, I know this is a nonpartisan setting, but just as a matter of observation, that's just not a fact. The case is not closed.
Well, let's see. They're using the term in 2 different ways. What McConnell is saying is the case is closed and that the truth has been decided. Donald Trump did not, collude with the Russians to overturn the election. The government is, in fact, strengthening its procedures to deal with the kinds of minor things that the Russians did, and we don't want them doing it, but we do it to them. I'm sure it's just spy versus spy. Although, of course, we can't use the word spy versus spy anymore. We'll call it Obama versus Obama. So they're left now with the fact that Trump is doing everything he can to drive them nuts because he knows they're not living in reality. He knows, in fact, the case is closed. He knows it is. He knows, except for the far left, except for their base, the case is over. Nobody cares. Nobody's talking about it. None of the candidates is talking about it because they're going to these town hall meetings and their campaign meetings, and nobody cares, okay? So now Nancy Pelosi is caught between a rock and a hard place. And everybody talks about, how incredible Nancy Pelosi is at manipulating Trump. And remember when she applauded during his State of the Union, and that became a big deal, the left clinging to whatever they had. Donald Trump is driving this woman up the wall. The same Cornell meeting, she starts to talk about whether they should impeach Trump. Listen to this.
Trump is goading us to impeach him. That's what he's doing. Every single day, he's just like taunting, because he knows that it would be very divisive in the country, but he doesn't really care. Just wants to solidify his base. That might have been too political, so, criticize me for that. But that's what it is. So we can't impeach him for political reasons. And we can't not impeach him for political reasons. But you have to see where the facts take us.
If you could look in her eyes at this point, it's like, come along, Nancy. We have a nice little white room for you. Donald Trump is playing them because he can play them because they have to keep away from the truth, which is what happened over these last 8 years. And if it were just politics, if it were just Nancy Pelosi, it'd be one thing. But it's the entire press. The entire press betrayed every principle that journalism works on. They betrayed them all to cover up for this guy, to deify this guy, to hagiographize Barack Obama, because they cannot accept that this idea of race that they are now so obsessed with is over. We get it. It's over. They will not let it go because they think it's good for them politically, but also because of their own philosophy, their own sense that, human beings should be perfect, and therefore if they're not perfect, they're forever guilty, instead of our sense that we're all fallen, we're all imperfect, and we need a God to forgive us, to let us off the hook. So